Namaskar to everyone. We welcome all to manage Krishi Gyandeep Knowledge Lecture Series 21, which is being conducted today on 7th December 2022 at Manage. Manage organizes Krishi Gyandeep Lecture Series by inviting eminent persons and from varied fields of agriculture and other allied sectors, and also from developmental sectors, to share their lifetime experiences with many of the stakeholders of agriculture. And here we invite outstanding personalities to manage, to share their knowledge through live lectures. And the audience include the faculty members, staff, consultants, fellows, and also the participants of training programs, the students of PGDM, ABM course at Manage, and also invitees from leading institutions in the country and also through networks. And many of the network groups joined through online. These lectures are recorded as video films and shared through Manage YouTube channel and other social media as well. And we also send these films links to many of the last mile extension workers, like all the officers who are working in the departments of agriculture, animal husbandry, sericulture, fisheries, and horticulture, and also to the professionals working in the state agricultural universities and some of the ICR institutes, and also to Samitis, extension education institutes, and agripreneurs and other networks. So more than 1 lakh extension take this chance of listening to these eminent persons, because all of them will not be able to attend physically to listen to the lifetime experiences of the eminent persons. So we are recording the films and sending it across to various stakeholders. And today we are very much privileged to invite respected Shri Anil Kumar ST, Director and Chief Executive Officer of Samunati Foundation, quoted in Chennai, Tamil Nadu. And today's topic is Indian problems and Indian solutions in value chain financing. Welcome, sir. Now I request our Director General, Dr. P. Chandrasekhara, to kindly welcome and introduce today's chief guest.
Good morning to all of you. We are here for a purpose. Today's esteemed speaker, Shri Anil Kumarji, my colleague Dr. Jaya, Madam Pallavi Mali from Ministry, Sai Prasad from SAIL Samunati, and my colleagues and other partner institutions attending this program online. Many of our facilitators are also attending, national facilitators, this program online. On behalf of Manage family, I would like to extend a warm welcome to every one of you to this 21st Manage Krishi Gyandeep Knowledge Lecture Series. A word about our institution. Many people are online. Manage is an autonomous organization under Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India. We have invested 3.5 decades in service of farmers. We are mandated to strengthen agricultural extension systems in the country. Various activities are carried out by Manage towards strengthening agricultural extension. In agricultural extension, very oftenly we talk about global thinking and local action. Whether this is translated into local action is the biggest challenge before extension system. All the public and private extension functionaries working in villages, working with farmers on a day-to-day basis, whether they can catch up with this global thinking is the challenge before extension planners. This Krishi Gyandeep Knowledge Lecture Series is an effort to connect global thinking with local action. We have outstanding policymakers, outstanding scientists, outstanding institution leaders, outstanding agribusiness companies, NGOs. They have global thinking. Inviting them to Manage, listening to their experiences, recording them, converting into a film, and communicating with more than 1 lakh partners in extension is the very purpose of Krishi Gyandeep Knowledge Lecture Series. So we have completed 20 and this is the 21st such knowledge lecture series. They are all available in the Manage YouTube channel. They are used by our partner institution as a study material. It's a very good development. So this is about Krishi Gyandeep knowledge lecture series, and I have the holy task of introducing today's esteemed speaker. When I watch this movie, when I talk to Anil Kumarji, I feel that what is the strength of a purpose? And he is one person who radiates and reflects the heartbeat of Indian farmers. Few things which we heard from Anil Kumarji in the film, you cannot read in textbooks. When you sit in the bank, when you deal with the farmers, you experience these issues. And entire Samonati philosophy is around this experience. So the person who founded such a wonderful organization is with us. And quickly I would like to give a brief about. Anil is the founder and CEO of Samonati, India's largest agri enterprise aiming to unlock the trillion-dollar potential of Indian agriculture with smallholder farmers as the focus. His passion is to build Samonati as an open agri network that seamlessly connects diverse stakeholders across the value chain, powered by innovative tech-enabled interventions. Founded in 2014, Samonati, an agri-value chain enabler, currently works with 4,000 plus farmer collectives on the supply side and with 3,000 plus agri enterprises on the demand side. Samonati, with a presence of more than 100 agri value chains spread across 22 states in India, has enabled over $1.5 billion of gross transaction value in its journey so far. As an ecosystem player, Samonati is playing a pivotal role in shaping the future of agriculture in the country, with a vision to positively impact 1 in every 4 farming households by 2027. This is the great vision. All the best actually manage with you. Anil has been invited to be a member of various committees and task force formed by national and state level industry associations such as FICCI. For your information, recently FICCI constituted a committee to look into social innovations, and Anil Kumarji is made chairman of that committee. CII, TAI, Chennai and Madras Chamber of Commerce and Industry, wherein his contributions and value additions are noteworthy. Anil has received several awards, recognitions from several forums, including the Best Social Entrepreneur in the Global Social Entrepreneurship Program 2018, the TAI Impact Entrepreneur of the Year Award in 2013, TAI Scale Up Enterprise of the Year 2019, Real Leaders Impact Award 2020, ranked 83 in the top 100, and Economic Times Social Enterprise Startup Award in 2020, and Nanayam Vikatan Business Startup Champion Award for 2021. Anil has close to 3 decades of banking experience in the areas of rural, retail and agri-banking. He started his career with Canara Bank and then moved to ICICI Bank. Prior to promoting Samonati, Anil as a co-founder and trustee of IFMR Trust, conceptualized, designed, developed and spearheaded a new model of delivery of financial services in remote rural areas. These stints have lent him a holistic understanding of the agri ecosystem surrounding Indian smallholder farmers. Anil holds a Master's in Management from Asian Institute of Management, Manila. He also holds a Master's in Business Administration from Symbiosis Institute of Management, Pune, and a graduate degree in Humanities from Usmania University, Hyderabad. For your information, Manage every year is recognizing the best agri startups in the country, and Manage and Samonati are working together in this mission. So again, on behalf of all the Manage family here and extended family online, I would like to welcome Anil Kumarji for his experience sharing. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my privilege to be here. Quite an humbling experience, I would say. Talking about my own journey is the easiest thing because you don't need to prepare for it. You basically, rewind and then live through some of those moments and share the journey in a way where things happen. And in most of the cases, I also don't go prepared for a speech or a lecture because again, one of the aspects of the prayer that I make is may whatever that needs to be said comes out. It does happen because when we are talking something which is close to heart, you don't need to prepare because words are of no relevance when you are sharing something that you believe in, something that is a purpose of existence. And for me, Samunnati has been something like that. So I thought I would share, as I was hearing the introductory remarks by DG sir, I thought I would share 3 categories of information with you, or I would share my experiences in 3 buckets. One is a little bit about myself, my journey, and some of the critical decisions that went about in shaping my journey so far. So please bear with me if there is a little bit of I, me, myself in that, because it's my journey. I can't help it. Second one, which is most important, is about Samunnati, the journey that is most fulfilling so far. How did that happen, and how did that come about? And the third, and which is most important for me, is our understanding of the Indian agriculture landscape, the farmers, and the potential that we as a nation have in this particular period of time. The next 10, 15 years, I would say, is a huge opportunity that each one of us have to make a difference to the lives of 50% of the population of our country, the Annadatas of this great nation. So I would like to share what are those opportunities that are beckoning us and how all of us can collaborate to do that. So I'm from a small town, I'm a small town boy, so to say. Don't belong to a particular place. I would say I belong to South India. I'm born in Kolar, brought up in Ballari and Anantapur. All these 3 places, as you would realize, are border districts. They culminate Andhra, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu to a little bit. Because of that, I could, get some proficiency in both Telugu and Kannada. Mother tongue happens to be Telugu. Father tongue happens to be Kannada. I don't miss an opportunity to use both of them whenever I'm around. I married a person who is Tamilian, but from Palghat. I made use of those scholarships and other amenities that the government provided and did my education. But at this juncture, I also want to express my gratitude to 2 of my school teachers in 9th and 10th. A gentleman by name Murlidharan sir, who is not there anymore, and Kumar. These 2 people basically offered their tuition free of cost to me when I told them that my father cannot afford paying fee, which was about 40 rupees at that point in time. They said, "Arey, forget about the fee. Why don't you just continue with the tuition? So we would like you to be part of the batch." And Mr. Kumar was also the sergeant for, or the head of the National Cadet Corps, which is NCC, right? So he was the person taking care of NCC in the school, and he made me the sergeant for the batch, and then life was going on. For 2 years, we had to survive on ragi and jowar, no money at home. But little did I realize that millets were superfoods, which we know now. Next year is year of millets. But I must confess that we did not even take 1 krosin during that period. Right? That's the beauty of millets as a food. While we all say that it is for poor men, from a health perspective, it did wonders for us. Then so on and so forth. That's all culminated into I getting into engineering, and then discontinuing engineering when I got a job in Canara Bank as typist cum clerk in a rural branch. If I look back, each of those moments taught me so much to understand the kind of economic segment that I would be dealing with very closely, because I am from that economic segment. So when I got my engineering, I did go to a bank for an education loan, which I did not get. For whatever the process that existed at that point in time, we were not eligible. So I did not get, and as luck had it, the first credit proposal that I handled when I joined Canara Bank was an education loan for another boy. That's life, right? It comes full circle. So Canara Bank was a blessing. I'm deeply grateful to the opportunity that the bank gave, not only in grooming me from a livelihood perspective, but also from the dimension that my entry into the financial world, into the debit credit world, happened in a rural branch in Canara Bank. And I also had an opportunity to work with a fantastic manager called Mr. B. Iranna, who is no more. He groomed me, as if he's grooming his own son, for larger things. We used to come together. We used to go together. Saturdays, Sundays were not of any relevance. The only thing that he did not like is when I say, "Sir, I'm going home," when he's still in the office. He said, "I also go home, no?" So that's the only challenge that I had with him, that I have to come with him, go with him. That's it. Which meant longer hours. 12, 13 hours used to be a norm. But I enjoyed all of that because I got an opportunity to learn quite a few things. The other set of people who actually supported me during that period were my close friend circles. When you don't have money, when you are from an economically poor background, you also tend to have very few friends, but very thick friends, right? You will still remember them because each one of them would bring in their own complementary skill. So there was one gentleman who had a father who was an engineer. So he got the complementary skill of being able to buy books whenever he wants, the textbooks. Another gentleman who had the complementary skill of earning at that point in time. So small hand loans that we may need used to come from that friend, 50 rupees, 25 rupees for the family, not for me. So on and so forth. So we used to be one community, one cohort, and that kind of a friendship helped, the entire journey. But in all of these, friends, the spirit was as joyful as what it is today. Now, when I look back, all these feel, oh wow, I have gone through so many difficulties. But at that point in time, when we were going through it, we had, as family fun. I had a fantastic time. My thinking was no less than the richest person on this planet, I would say. I will not take names. But then the thinking was big. I don't know where that audacity to think big was coming from. I don't know. Blessed to be that. But the current reality need not deter someone to think big is one lesson that I learned during this period. Because thinking doesn't cost much, no? Because it is yourself, visualize what you can do and, how life can be better. And the current reality at that point in time did not deter. And then one thing led to the other, I got job. And then after 1.5 years of my joining Canara Bank after discontinuing engineering, my third sister got job in Indian Overseas Bank. She's a manager now in Delhi. And then, she would have thought, if this fellow can get, why not me? And cracked it. Then my second sister saw the two of us getting, and if these two fellows could get, why not me? And she got job in Canara Bank. When she got job in Canara Bank is when I decided I should be out of Canara Bank. Right? That's when I started looking out and then took a request transfer to Hyderabad. I had an aspiration to be in civil services, ma'am. So did my graduation from Usmania University, one sitting. If some of you know that there is something called a one sitting where you can write all 3 years exam in one go. So I took a small room, Shanti Lodge in Chanchalguda, if I remember. For 15 days, took one exam every day, 13 exams, and finished it. And I finished BA with about 67%, which I thought for arts and humanities was good. But my aspiration was civil services, and I had taken history, public administration, sociology. And history is still my favorite subject. I don't read fiction because history teaches lot of lessons. And one thing that I have learned reading history is times have been challenging across the history. If we say, golden era, no, times were challenging then, times are challenging now. But what has remained constant is the human resilience. People have survived People are surviving, people will survive because the human resilience is something that God has gifted us, and that is what history has taught me and continues to make me wonder how resilient we as a human race are. Sociology and public administration. Public administration I thought was easier for prelims and mains, but then got into all of that. Then came to Hyderabad, enrolled myself in Reddy's IAS Academy. So 10 to 5 was Canara Bank. I used to handle leave for the entire Andhra circle, Hyderabad circle as it is called. Then 6 to 9:30, 10 was coaching. 11 to 3 preparation. 3 to 7 sleep. And then come back to the office at 10 o'clock again. That happened for about 1.5 years. And that resulted into cracking some competitive exams, RBI grade B, Bank of India probationary officers, and finally culminated into getting into ICICI Bank. And once I got into ICICI Bank, that was in 96, is when I realized the power of the corporate world. Right? Because I was baffled at many possibilities that the corporate world was offering at that point in time. And the best was I could make an external call from my desk by pressing 0. Right, which was a huge luxury. Some of you would relate to that. Now with the mobile phones, nobody would know, because in Canara Bank there was one number, and at home some of you would know it is PP. PP call, right? Which is basically in Telugu pakkinti phone, right? It's the phone of a neighbor, right? PP. So you call, and some of you also would know that if you call after 11 o'clock, it is 1/4 the tariff. So no money. So wait for 11 o'clock. Like that, many people did not have money. Wait till 11 o'clock. And then there were some tricks. After the number, you press 0000, or after the number, you press 1111, and the chances of you getting through the line are much better. Canara Bank senior manager used to have a direct line, and anyone who needs to call would call on that number, and then he would say, Anil, call for you. And it was a wired phone, right? So you come and whisper and talk something as if you are doing a big sin, because you are talking over phone. To a possibility that I can make a call and I can receive a call at my desk was a huge graduation for me. Second, the toilets in ICICI Bank were much cleaner. The second dimension. Third is it was furniture like this. I thought if only I can work here, how nice it would be. And fortunately for me, that nice thing happened. But then ICICI Bank provided me the platform to look at world from a different dimension. Right? But it was not an easy decision to make, because I was leaving a government job and joining a private bank. And private bank, we all know, hire and fire, right? You perform, progress. Don't perform, perish. So the question is, hey, you are in a government job where you can retire and get a pension and so on and so forth. Why do you want to take the risk? Then no couriers, no calls, no WhatsApp, no message at that point in time. So I wrote a letter to my mother and my sisters, who had by then joined the banks, right? Asking for a safety net. When I joined ICICI Bank, I was 24. So I wrote to them saying all other government jobs have an eligibility of a cutoff age of 27. I am 24. I will try this for 1.5, 2 years. If for any reason I get fired, I am confident I would be able to get one more job. But in the meanwhile, would you please support me if something happens? And to my good fortune, my mother and both the sisters wrote back saying, we are with you, go ahead. Grateful to them again, and they are still with me in all these, all these endeavors. And it was in ICICI Bank that I also had the good fortune of meeting my wife. Both of us joined together. Both of us learned the corporate banking together. But then what ICICI Bank provided is the audacity to think big in terms of numbers. Because here we are representing the largest private sector bank with all the unbridled power that you have to do something good for the customers. And the bank gave me multiple opportunities, became a branch manager in 2000, opened the first branch of ICICI Bank in Jubilee Hills here in Hyderabad. I am the first branch manager. Then I was posted to Guntur as the branch manager of ICICI Bank after the Bank of Madura merger. When I came back again, I am the first branch manager of ICICI Bank Begumpet branch here. Set up ATMs in the Begumpet airport, first ATM in ISB. So the bank has given me a fantastic exposure, and during that period, I also finished my MBA, again from distance mode, from Symbiosis. And I was thinking this ICICI Bank was full of IITs, IIMs, all flashy guys who are so confident when they come to the, forum like this or in the internal meetings, they used to bulldoze everyone else. And I was a little apprehensive saying, I am from a small town and did everything through correspondence, mode, which is learning at my own cost. So how would I be able to compete with all this, high-end talent, so to say, is what led me to think about why don't I look for a year-long education in the college. So I explored, took my GMAT, and that led me to ISB and Asian Institute of Management, Manila, AIM. My GMAT score was not good enough for ISB. In spite of setting up an ATM that did not work, my entry into ISB. But then I went to Manila to do my master's from Asian Institute of Management. And as you all know, Asian Institute of Management is a premier institution set up through an affiliation with Harvard. And I would say I would trade for one more year there for anything in life. Because the time at AIM and in the class, grateful to my professors and my classmates, we were a class of about 38 with average age being 34. I was 32 at that point in time with multiple nationalities. That gave me a global perspective in terms of how would one engage, and understanding the leadership role. And when I came back to India in 2005, the bank gave me an opportunity to set up a new team, and that happened to be in the microfinancing space. Actually, when I went to Manila to do my master's, I was actually looking at quitting the corporate world and getting into teaching. Since you are all academic institution, I might as well share that with you. By now you would have figured out, I love talking. So I thought teaching and talking are the same. Right? So I thought, it gives me a good opportunity. Why don't I get into teaching by leaving this corporate world and the rat race and so on and so forth. When I started looking at the academic world from the closer quarters, I realized that it is much more competitive than the corporate world. Corporate world, at least you have the team to fall back on. Here you are competing with intellectual giants. I said, this is not for me. Unfortunately, at that point in time, I also stumbled into the autobiography of Dr. Muhammad Yunus and realized the dimension of financial inclusion and its relevance to the people at the bottom of the pyramid as they are referred. And I could relate to my own life's journey. And I could relate to the number of people who have helped me when I was, part of the bottom of the pyramid. And it was, as they say, love at first sight. The moment I understood the financial inclusion, microfinance and other things, I thought, hey, God has been kind to me. I have learned so much in banking, in the rural and the financial inclusion space. Why not work there and deploy my understanding in the banking to provide banking to people who are not understood by banks? Because many of us talk about information asymmetry in the development world, right? People basically say, oh, we don't have information, and there is a lot of information asymmetry. You don't have products that can be structured with the information that is available. But the reality is there is information. The asymmetry is in our ability to see it. All the surrogates that one sees for underwriting a loan are the surrogates in the absence of the information. Once you sit with a farmer, once you understand from a farmer's perspective, because I am coming from the farming family and my father was a farmer, I understand what you are saying. Once you sit with the farmer and the farming family, you would understand how the information that we have is good enough to make decisions. The asymmetry is in our inability to do that. So we understood how non-traditionally you can make the credit assessment, and especially it boils down to two things. One, whom to lend to. Second, how much to lend to. That's it. And both these are driven by social capital and trade capital. Right? Social capital, whom do you lend to? Transaction history, which is trade capital, is how much do you lend? And you go and ask any milk aggregator in a place or any shop for that matter in the rural and tier 4, tier 5 cities or towns, you would know that all of us go to a standard place for standard requirements. You go to a standard grocery shop for your groceries because you are looking at building that transaction history and social capital. right? Even barber, at that point in time I had hair. So even, barber, you go to a regular barber because you know that he will recognize you, he will say hello to you. After all, we are all human beings, right? Once we are welcomed and recognized, we're happy with that. Shopping, jewelry in purchases in smaller towns, you go to a particular space because there is an inherent habit in humans perhaps to go to a certain place for your certain requirements. So how do we leverage that? How do you leverage the social capital, trade capital is what led us to looking at underwriting this population from a different perspective. So I pause here on the journey because I'm mindful of the time. I want to share more on how we look at the farmers and farming, but I just want to quickly mention about how Samanati happened and then move on. It was 6th December 2013 when I decided I would not do what I was doing. I was a group CEO for a local financial institution model, and I thought I have spent enough time and I should look at doing something else. And I was looking at doing something else within that entire ecosystem because I was the founder trustee of that entity, very much a family, which continues to be a family. But then once the decision to move on happened, there were new ideas that were coming in. And on 5th January 2014, to be precise, I got up at 5 o'clock. And was getting ready is when this thought came saying, hey, I have built one model from scratch and I have had the privilege of learning how to build newer models thanks to the organization that gave me that opportunity. Why not I build on it? Why not I look at doing something incrementally different? Because in that model, we had this process of a wealth management approach for low-income households. And here I would like to mention why it is so important to understand the wealth management for low-income households, because wealth management is usually associated with super rich, people who have a lot of money and how do I manage wealth. But it is much more critical for people who don't have money to manage their wealth, because one fundamental difference between finance as a product and any other commodity as a product is what was taught to us at the beginning of my journey with the RMAG. And I'm grateful to a gentleman by name Dr. Nachiket Moore, who drilled down this concept in us. Actually, he drilled down two concepts. I will share both of them here for the benefit of the larger audience. One is, unlike a product, like say, for example, a soap or a shampoo or, products of that nature, the efficacy of that product is uniform to all the users, irrespective of who the user is. A soap cleans, a shampoo cleans. It will not differentiate between, hair, no hair, less hair, white hair, black hair. It cleans. It also does not differentiate between where you are taking bath, whether it is a 5-star property or under the sun. It does the same thing. It does not differentiate. It does not have prejudices. There are no differences, right? But in finance, a 10,000 rupee decision for a super rich guy could be a rounding of error. They can stomach it. But a 10,000 rupee decision for the poorest of the poor could actually put them back into poverty for some generations. Now you see how critical it is to manage the wealth of low-income households is how we got into that model where we had a wealth management approach for low-income households, in which we used to map the assets, liabilities, income, expenditure of the household together with their goals for the next 5-10 years, and how do we map the available financial products at that point in time to making them achieve those goals. And one significant thing that came about is most of the families, or I would rather say almost all the families basically said, all of them are basically low-income households. They said, forget about whether we will achieve the goal or not, but this is the first time that somebody is asking us, what are my goals? The fact that we are engaging in a conversation saying, hey, what is your plan for your house? What is your plan for this 7-year-old who is running around in your house? What do you want her to become? What do you want him to become? At the end of the conversation, they basically said, you know what, this conversation makes us feel so important. Understood the dimension of the human part of banking transactions, the human part of banking interactions, right? The second thing that he drove us or indoctrinated us is in a term called obliquity. Obliquity, a term which was propagated by a person called John Kay through a HBR review, which basically says that companies that exist for the purpose are companies that strive to do the purpose for which they exist have better chances to succeed than companies which pursue profit maximization as the goal. In other words, profit maximization, stakeholder wealth, all of those are byproducts, provided we focus on why we exist as an organization. And the summary of that, he says, is goals are best achieved when pursued indirectly. A term called obliquity. And that has been the hallmark of all our decisions. So 5 o'clock, this idea comes, and I wake up my wife at 5 o'clock. Maybe she was half asleep, or wanted to just get rid of me to complete that conversation. I said, hey, why don't I become an entrepreneur? Why don't I do something on my own? And she said, if that is what you would like to do, please go ahead. In any case, the lifestyle is still lower middle class lifestyle, continues to be so even now, middle class, I would say. We require 20,000 rupees to survive. And by then she had quit ICICI Bank and was teaching Carnatic music. She said, anyhow, 50-60 children come to me and I earn about 30,000 rupees as the Pata class fee. So go ahead, do whatever you want, is what led me to take this decision. That's why I'm saying how important those assuring conversations are. And she said, I would support you, don't worry, go ahead. And I took a loan on my house and my PF money, whatever you have heard. In hindsight, all of this feel very risky, even to me, if I think about it. But at that point in time, I found these to be natural decisions, because 1993, as a 21-year-old, I stumbled into this heartfulness as a meditation. And I have been practicing it for 30 years now. That has made a significant difference to the decision-making process. It is a non-sectarian, non-religious, belief system. It's just me and myself. All that I do is close my eyes and pray to the one inside, our creator, saying, hey, please guide me. Whatever we did, when we started this. And that journey basically helped me, make many such decisions which feel rather risky now, but then felt natural, felt normal at that point in time, and is how Samunati came. When Samunati happened is when we started looking at the farmer much more closer than what we were looking at as a household, and we realized that while we talk about the fragmented, I come into the last part of the talk, right, or sharing the experience rather. We started realizing how vulnerable the smallholder farmer is from one dimension, how resilient this farmer is from the other dimension, and how this entire ecosystem is basically functioning as the third dimension. So this three-dimensional understanding helped us a lot in terms of engaging Samunati as a model. And that is what led us to put the farmer at the center, saying, hey, we exist to make markets work for smallholder farmers, because the entire markets are revolving around mandis. Farmer is one participant in that, at times more vulnerable participant. And all of us know smallholder farmer, fragmented land holding. How did this fragmentation of the land holding happen? And in my understanding, I may be right, I may be wrong, because I don't have the data to back it. But in my understanding, the definition of farmer as looked at by the formal financial institutions is one significant driver for it. Because the one who owns land is the farmer as per many products that we have. And hence, having the ownership of land is an important dimension. And if my father, for example, had 9 acres of land, we are 3 brothers, and I have 3 children. Each one of us, in order to borrow from a formal financial institution, need to have the ownership of that land. So my father, 9 acres, he could have borrowed on 9 acres. Our 3 brothers, I don't have 3 brothers, by the way, I'm just giving this as an example. Neither I had land. Okay. So the 3 brothers, 3 acres each, and 3 sons, 1 acre each. See, within 2 generations, 9 acre became 1 acre. And that fragmented land holding would not entail any investments that we can do. The second dimension is, because it is a fragmented land holding, the constituents that the smallholder farmer would go to buy, his or her inputs would be the retail most part of the input value chain, because they have to buy in smaller quantities. And what does that entail? When the retail most part of the input value chain is what is providing the inputs, all the costs of the dealer, distributor, wholesaler, retailer would be added onto that, which is a normal cycle. And then what happens? At times you are selling even before the harvest is coming, because you have demands on your liquidity. And then as soon as the harvest is done, you have parted with the produce, which also means that you are selling wholesale. So here is a constituent, a farmer who is buying retail, selling wholesale, and where is the money? Margins shrink, right? When you are in retail and you buy in retail and sell in wholesale, your margins shrink. Can we expand it? Can we bring the dimension of buying wholesale, which means you would be able to pay lesser for your inputs, selling retail, wherein you would be able to drive the value add, is what led us to look at this entire agri value chain and embark on this value chain structure in agriculture as a model. And we started realizing that all these intermediaries who are there are playing significant role. They are the ones who move goods and cash. They are the ones who are interested in the value add. They are the ones who are market makers for the producers. They are the ones who are also the lenders of last resort for very many producers who don't have access to the lending. So instead of disintermediating, as the value chain proposition often is explained mathematically, can we look at opting them in and make the value chains operate at a higher equilibrium? Can we increase the throughput so that when the throughput increases, the law of abundance would kick in and the players in the value chain would automatically start giving more and more margins for what they are producing? Because what is the incentive for an intermediary? It is value per unit into number of units. Value per unit is fixed by the market. Number of units is what determines the income. So when the throughput increases, they will basically look at how do I pass on more to my constituent who will increase my turnover. Makes sense, right? The Walmart principle basically. And that is where we stumbled into the power of farmer producer organizations, the FPOs. Because here is an opportunity where instead of one single farmer going to the retail most part of value chain, can we make an entity that is representing about 1,000 such farmers go to a manufacturer of input or a wholesaler of input, negotiate a better price and bring in the market linkages? Is where we started building a structure that we refer to as AMLA approach: aggregation, market linkage and advisory services. AMLA, AMLA, right? The Nallikai, as they say, which has apparently it's the only whole fruit which has all the 6 tastes, right? And we thought we would provide a structure where we would be taking care of all the requirements. So aggregation, a set of people doing the same economic activity coming together, paddy growing farmers coming together, sugarcane growing farmers coming together, cotton growing farmers coming together, turmeric growing farmers coming together. Coming together for what? Coming together to buy what they are buying in wholesale for a cheaper price, sell what they are growing at a better price after the harvest, not soon after harvest, because all of us know prices are the lowest soon after harvest. Can we bring in the dimension of market linkages? Is where the ML came in. And then the advisory services are how can we engage in a batch processing mode in providing better agricultural practices. And this is where our engagement with Manage has been a significant driver to understand how do we provide the advisory services and engage with the larger agri ecosystem. So we believe that these FPOs have the potential to unlock a huge value for the smallholder farmers and enable us to fulfill our vision of making markets work for smallholder farmers. And that's how we started building our entire proposition around working with the FPOs much before the FPOs as a term became known to us. Thanks to present government, 2019, further 10,000 FPOs were basically unveiled as a plan, and that brought in the entire FPO world into the focus, and the kind of policy support that we are getting in FPO world is unparalleled. And we stumbled into the FPO space in 2015 when nobody knew about FPO space, and 2019 onwards we are having significant tailwinds, as they say, significant encouragement, significant drive to make this potential become a reality, and we are seeing it on the ground. We are seeing the number of schemes that are coming up, the number of entities that are coming up, the kind of energy that we are seeing around the FPO world. And since we are in agriculture, FPO represents the seed. Every seed has the potential to become a tree, right? But then what does it require? First, it has to be sown in a soil that is prepared. Then, the conditions have to be good for the, germination to happen. Then protect the germinated plant, provide the nourishment, and then take it to a stage where it can sustain, and then it grows to become a massive tree. And that is what we are seeing in terms of number of people, number of entities, number of initiatives that are coming in this FPO space. And our entire Samunati's model is structured around working with the FPOs. And our endeavor is, how can we engage with the FPOs to be window to the world for them and access to the last mile for the smallholder farmer for the rest of the world? Because while we talk about fragmented land holding, because I am here in Manage, I also may mention about how fragmented the agri ecosystem is. All of us know agriculture is a sector. We have inputs, we have output, we have banking and financial services industry players, we have research institutions, we have academic institutions, startups and advisory providing entities. Now, if you double click on each of them is a universe. Take inputs as an example. Inputs again further subcategorized as seeds, crop protection chemicals, and farm equipment, right? Double click on seeds. Then you have, genetically modified, hybrid, open pollinated, and, native seeds or organic. Now double click on each of them, you have companies. Each of these companies have their dealer, distributor, retailer, and smallholder farmer. We are still in seeds. Double click on crop protection chemicals. You have fertilizers and pesticides. Ek ugata hai, ek marta hai. Right? Again, multiple categories there, multiple companies, each of them looking at getting into the farmer. Farm equipment, small equipment, and large equipment. Both don't talk to each other, and each one of them have their own dealer, distributor, retailer network to reach out to the smallholder farmer. Right? We are still in inputs. Then you come to output. They say, you take care of your production. My role comes into picture after you have produced. Then I will say what quality, quantity, assaying, where you deliver, storage, now, later, when to pay price. Everybody wants to buy cheaper. Right? Then comes banks. You have land, I give loan. Right? More often than not. Now many things have changed, but I'm just setting the context. Right? But imagine this smallholder farmer who is vulnerable. How capable is she or he to take such risks and handle the outcome of that risk? God forbid, if that crop fails, then it is debilitating for them. Go back to wealth management approach for low-income households. If one season fails, there are multiple things that are at stake for them. And hence, in spite of knowing that what they are practicing is age-old, traditional, is not conducive for the new age practices, they still go back because known devil is better than unknown angel. We don't know. Why I'm sharing all of this is where we can play a role. Can we make all of this happen? Where research institutions, valuable research, banks, precious money, the ability of the output companies to procure, the ability of the input companies to provide the inputs for cultivation. Can we harmonize this journey in a way where the farmer is at the center? We need someone who can orchestrate, who can harmonize all of this journey, wherein the risks associated with all of this are not passed on to the farmer. As an industry, we understand there is insurance. Ma'am, he's from, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, where I don't know how many people know, there is also a dimension of losing one season as part of one of the things that this particular product covers. If for any reason you lose a season, you would be able to get compensation for it. A significant safety net, I would say, given how vulnerable agriculture is. So how do we handhold? And one key driver of climate change, which is making all of this not a choice anymore, but a necessity, is how do we make our farmers navigate the transition from the age-old practices which are in the context of a different agroclimatic era to an era where rain is unpredicted, rainfall seasons, the precipitation, what have you. Everything has become unpredictable because of the climate change. But what has to become predictable is whether cultivation still happens, and how do we handhold the farmer in doing all of this. By providing a safety net would be a significant driver for us as we look at agriculture for the next season. And we are seeing a significant traction in all of this as awareness. So how do we harmonize this journey of fragmented agri ecosystem to a smallholder farmer with a fragmented land holding will be the vision for all of us in the agri ecosystem, because it's easier to say somebody has to do ABC. It's even easier to say, agar ye sab hota hai to acha rahega. But then it's most valuable to say, can I be the change that I would like to see? And if each one of us look at ourselves as, can I be the change? Can I look at making my contribution to make this happen, with the farmer at the center, with the agri ecosystem becoming much more valuable than what it is. That's why we believe that this would be $1 trillion economy in no time. GDP significantly higher, and many of the smaller nations indeed are looking up to India for their food security. Because one thing that COVID has taught all of us is money in the bank is not equal to food on the table. They are two different things. You may have significant bank balance but no food on the table, or you may be a pauper, nothing in the bank, or not even have a bank account, but you can eat something on the table. Different things. And things are converging. How can we work together in making this happen in a way where the farmer becomes the center of all of this? And the last one, the aspiration is, what is the visual that more often than not we get when we talk of a smallholder farmer? What is the visual that we get? A emancipated man sitting on a barren patch of land, looking hopelessly into the sky and waiting for a help, right? That's the get all of us have been exposed to. But the reality, the fact of the matter is, it is that constituent, that person who is the annadata for us. None of us produce. This person produces. Can we, as this generation, change the narrative of this image to a person, the moment we think of a farmer, he is the person who is the annadata for me. I am grateful to him for having made food available on my table today. Then we have become the change that we want to see. And that is the aspiration that drives us. Can we change the image of the annadata for this nation, for this world, I would say. And we as a nation have a significant opportunity to do that. And Samunnati has been grateful for all the support that we are getting in this ecosystem. And I would conclude it by saying it has been an humbling experience, but it is a privilege to be here, privilege to be sharing this journey and this thought. And the partnership with Manage is growing from strength to strength. We certainly look up to DG sir for his guidance, and Manage as an institution, as a fellow passenger in making this change happen in the next 5 years. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Sir, you said finally the farmer is in center. In every words that you spoke, farmer is in the center. And whenever any work is going on, so we have to think farmer in the center. So everything, our thinking, our actions, everything goes towards farmer. So thank you so much, sir, for very inspirational speech. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah, please.
So thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful experience sharing and journey of your success stories. And as per the institutional credit to the farmer is very, very less. Second thing is the interest rate to the agriculture sector is also high in private sector compared to the government banking system. Is there any policy or suggestion from your side to reduce the interest rate and also increase the credit, institutional credit to the farming sector? Second thing is once farmer get a loan for particular crops or any enterprises, if he wanted to get the second loan, it is very difficult in the existing system. Is there any possibility for getting the integrated credit system where even if he is having one credit, can also should be eligible to take other credit for other aspect also? What is your take on this?
Thank you, sir. One best thing is, there is a lot of positive movement in the credit environment and a collaborative effort. One of the green shoots that we are seeing is the co-lending structure that is evolving between banks and other players who have the last mile connection. NBFCs basically. The combination of the bank funding and the NBFC reach is what the co-lending structure looks at harnessing, so that the eventual rate of interest for the farmer goes down significantly. Technology is enabling a lot of such structures to be deployed on the ground, and we are seeing a significant traction and interest among banks to collaborate with NBFCs to be able to achieve what you are basically saying. The numbers in our country are humongous, sir. As we start, we would be able to show working models and be able to bring in the dimension of institutional credit, and we see a lot of positivism there. The other dimension is the initiatives like the Agri Infrastructure Fund. It's 100,000 crores set aside for infrastructure, and the focus of all of this being processing capability in the rural hinterland, and we certainly see a significant opportunity there for banks and NBFCs to collaborate, so that the local processing units and local infrastructure for processing the agri produce would come into light and gets established. We see farmer as Samunati, we see farmer as the actor, farming as the activity. While to begin with, we have to look at the dominant activity of the farmer, which is farming as the starting point. Sooner than later, we have to recognize that farmer as an actor is more relevant to be engaged than the activity alone. So moving from the activity to actor, from farming to farmer, is an important dimension, and a lot of agri-tech intervention that we are seeing, the number of the startups that are coming in agriculture are all looking at bringing the dimension of a farmer as an actor as one unit. And we are seeing some of those conversations happening. People are talking about agri-stack. People are talking about a repository of agri-information. We have significant hope and aspiration from the ONDC, which will basically bridge all of these happening together. So I certainly feel and confident that in the next 5 years you would see a different India, a different Bharat, where the farmer would be at the center, and we are seeing all the things coming together. While it may sound a little philosophical, but I would still make it as a statement. Three things are very difficult, in the words of Adi Shankara, to come together. He says these are durlabham. One is the life of a human being. A human birth is durlabham. Two, after we take birth as a human, having a quest to ask, why am I here, is another durlabham. Right? You might have been born, but you may not have this thought. So if you are born as a human and have this thought, and then the third durlabham, the difficult one, is finding someone who can guide you on that path, is an important dimension. And when these three come together, then it comes once in 10,000 years. Don't lose that opportunity, is what Adi Shankara says. If I apply the same logic to Indian agriculture, having entrepreneurial energy and youngsters coming in to solve some of the big problems in agriculture is difficult, because most of them would want to go to more esoteric engagements. We are seeing a significant portion of youngsters looking into tech space, startups in agriculture, and you are a shining example of the entire ABC and startup awards that we give. The kind of talent that is flowing into agriculture is very encouraging. So one durlabham met. Second, we also are seeing the ecosystem responding to it. We have number of incubators, right, who are basically nurturing these ideas to scale. Second durlabham. The third one is flow of private capital into all of this. It's relatively easier to get private capital into an agtech company now than what it was 5 years ago. These three coming together augurs well for the Indian agriculture, and farmer would be at the center of all of this. It is a perception that needs to be addressed. Now, let me give you one example of how to understand the opportunity cost, and I certainly feel this fraternity has a significant role to play in making people understand the dimension of opportunity cost. I was in Meghalaya 3 weeks ago, and there near Chirapunji, there is a society that actually buys areca nut, raw areca nut from Assam, brings it to Meghalaya, ferments them for 3 months, and sells it back. And I have not validated these numbers. This is what they mentioned to me. They said one truckload of this raw areca nut costs 15 lakhs. And in 3 months after they ferment and they sell it back for 25 lakhs. They said they usually get money for one truckload and they borrow at 10%. And their capacity is to do at least one more truckload or two truckloads if they have access to another 15 lakhs or 30 lakhs. But then same question came in, sir, you are private sector. We get this funding for at 10% from our own society. Why should we look at borrowing from you? I said, let us do the math. 15 lakhs into 10% into 3 months divided by 12 is 37,500 rupees. That's the interest. Same 15 lakhs, 18% into 3 months divided by 12 is 67,500. So the difference is 30,000 rupees. And if this 30,000 can give them, in their words, a difference is 10 lakhs, but forget about 10 lakhs. Even if they get 3 lakhs or 2 lakhs, rather than letting go of that opportunity, wouldn't they be better? If they get money at 10%, they should take it. But if they don't, should they leave that opportunity or borrow at whatever is available? Because the reason why private sector money is expensive is because our own borrowing is expensive. My cost of borrowing is 14%, sir, today. And I borrow from NBFCs and DFIs. Very few banks have lent to me so far because I am a young organization. Same story. While I may not believe in tax returns, past performance, profitability, and my bank statements, I as an entity do not have 3 years of continuous profitability track record, and hence most of the banks don't lend to me. I am not eligible for it. So I borrow on an average at 14%. So once we play a role in understanding, if 15 lakhs is giving a difference of about 30,000, 1.5 lakhs, sir, is 1/10 of it, is 3,000 rupees. 15,000 rupee loan is 300 rupees. Should they let go of? I was just telling DJ sir that perhaps that 300 rupees goes in 2-3 visits that they have to make to get the money. So there is an opportunity cost. If there are options for cheaper funding, they should go ahead. If they don't, they should not lose that opportunity. Is something that we have to bring in. And that is where your ACABCs and ACs could play a significant role in making them aware in numbers. Thank you for asking that question. Because we have to take the bull by the horns, We can't deny that. Heli sir.
Sir, I have a question for you. There are so many schemes, policies and programs by Government of India, but till today the farming community is among the vulnerable sections of the society. Why is it happening? What is the way out for improving the income of the farmers?
Most of these schemes are well designed. The challenge is numbers and the ability to execute, and this is where we are requesting the policymakers and in expanding the scope of the entities that can collaborate in taking these schemes to the beneficiaries. There are banks and there are other entities like ourselves which also have presence on the on the ground. Can we expand the scope, not restrict, expand the scope, saying in addition to banks, we also have financial institutions which are predominantly in those geographies as eligible institutions for those schemes. Then the scope would increase. Because banks have many things to do and they are playing a significant role in very many things. This is one of the many things. While there is a priority sector requirement, there are all the other incentives that are aligned. The fact is there are many things that banks are still doing. And the numbers are humongous in the Indian context. I certainly would look at what are the things that we can cherish about. You look at how agriculture farmer was in this country in the 60s. Till 68 we were a food deficit nation. We used to wait for the ships to arrive to feed people. To now, when we said we are not sending ships outside, the nations are basically saying, "Oh, you cannot stop export." That's a huge, huge thing to take pride in ourselves in terms of what we as a nation have traversed from 68 to where we are as a producing nation. At a farmer level, there are multiple challenges. Distribution is a challenge. Disguised unemployment in farming is a challenge. Alternate employment is a challenge, right? Going back, rather than looking at what are the challenges, can we look at what are the opportunities to make that difference? Can I be the change? And how do we make these schemes go to larger set of beneficiaries? We are looking at collaborating with many institutions which have these schemes to play our role. If bridge funding is something that we need to do, we do. Is awareness something that we need to create? We create the awareness. Is batch processing that needs to be done so that the schemes are better utilized by the intended beneficiaries? What is the role that we can play? For all of those, again, going back to the earlier question, we don't need to be the lender for it because we know it would be expensive. We don't need to be that. But can we play a role of making these schemes reach out to a larger set of beneficiaries and there expanding the scope of beneficiaries to financial institutions as well, in addition to whatever? Because if the objective is to reach more beneficiaries, vehicle need not matter. We can be agnostic to the vehicle. Vehicle can be a bank, vehicle can be a financial institution. But then the challenge goes back to his question, saying since the vehicle is intended to achieve a larger purpose which is social in nature, will private entities make money out of it? We can put structures around it, saying your lending cannot be more than this. Why is my lending, around 16 to 18%? Because my borrowing is at 14%. If somebody can give me money at 10%, I will also lend at 12%, sir. If somebody can give me, 6% money, if somebody gives me free money, I will lend at 4.5%. Because the margin that I am making is still the same. Then the schemes have to be expanded. Even guarantee schemes for that matter. NBFCs are not eligible for guarantee schemes, right? So people who are taking the risk need to have the safety net, no? Right? If I am taking the risk, the fall is imminent to me, can safety net be provided to me? NAP Samrakshan guarantee not eligible. CGTMSE we have to apply and wait for it. If you take any scheme, the reason is NBFCs did not do agriculture earlier. Now that we have NBFCs that are looking at agriculture is the time where we can make this transition and people are listening to this. That's the best part. Everybody has good intentions, sir. It's just that as players, we have to appeal to the right people. As I say, 99.99 people are good-hearted people. We need to tell them that this is what is the necessity, and we see significant interest in making things happen. But it's a journey. I'm confident the value chain finance structure also will fall in place. In fact, the moment of pride for me last week, I was in a panel discussion, moderating a panel in FICCI. And there was a representative from Germany. And that person said, India is much ahead of us in drone technology. Imagine someone from Germany, it's on record, that's why I'm saying it. Someone from Germany, which is known for precision technology, saying that you as a country are much ahead of us in the drone technology. Which is a moment of pride for us. Right? We will make it happen. I'm confident of it. And I wake up at 5 o'clock to do my morning meditation from 5:15, 5:30 for an hour every day. And that has been the practice for about 30 years now. The reason why, I said I would tell why I wake up is my humble request to everyone is this half an hour, 45 minutes of investment in ourselves in meditation helps a lot in the next 23 and a half hours in a day. And I'm a banker. If you take the return on investment, the investment of 30 minutes in your time, in 24 hours, will be a significant dividend that you would get because thinking becomes easier. Your ability to make right decisions, and right decision as a definition is something that your heart does not, does not doubt. You feel at home with that decision, like how going entrepreneurial or becoming an entrepreneur felt right at that point in time. Going into important discussions, making choices that you apply analysis paralysis, then everything sounds a risky proposition. So this investment, I would say, as I was mentioning in the video, this provided me the anchor to reflect on why are we here? Can we take larger problems head on rather than lamenting on, "Arey, this does not work, that does not work, this is a challenge, that is a challenge." Can we take on bigger challenges and that small investment early in the morning? Because most of the decisions get taken when there is a cusp between the morning and the night, or the night and the morning, sandhya, right, as they say. That is when we are in the best frame of mind to make decisions, and meditating during that period. Thank you very much again.
Now I request our Director General to thank the eminent speaker today, Mr. Anil Kumar.
This is time for thanking today's esteemed speaker, Anil Kumar of Samunati. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation and sharing your life experiences. The experiences were full of life. We thoroughly enjoyed. In fact, time is not a limitation. Again and again, you are reminding yourself, but in fact, we were not looking at the clock. So, few things, because this talk is also going to be converted into a film which reaches many people for the benefit of our unseen listeners. I think some kind of inferences we have to draw, learnings we have to highlight from your talk. One of the important statement you made is, always we think about return on investment of money, but not on your own time. So the moment we look back our own time, probably we can see big Himalaya. So that unexplored area, I think it is open for every one of us, every extension workers in this country. In fact, the ministry, they changed the name a few years back from Ministry of Agriculture to Farmers Welfare. What is welfare? Welfare is not focusing on activities. Welfare includes focusing on actor. That component is still missing in our day-to-day extension activities. Even though my discipline, agricultural extension, the discipline of this organization, basically we focus on the actor. That is where your talk sounds like a music for us. Otherwise, we get into microbes, we get into pest and diseases, we get into nitrogen, phosphorus, and many more activities. The moment you get into the farmer and his thinking, then you are part and parcel of the thinking and action of every extension worker in this country. So that is how we found it very interesting. Of course, few things you told may be relevant for every one of us in day-to-day life. Number one, we need to find a good mentor. So that is what we learned from your side. You talked about your friend circle, you talked about your teacher. So our extension workers may be, working in a small village, and always they think that they are away from IAMs, they are away from ISBs. But better to find a mentor in the existing ecosystem rather than looking at some other ecosystem which is not reachable. So it is self-discovery, the mission of self-discovery. This is a great message for every extension worker. Finding mentor within his own ecosystem. Then few things we need not spend money. We don't require any financial resources. See, one of the things you convey to us is think big. Think big, it does not require any money, in fact. That is how your journey started. So maybe I take the example of Shanti Lodge. 3 years what normally a student does, that you could complete in 2 months or 3 months. Very short time. So that Shanti Lodge experience of yours, it is a eye-opener for every one of us. Now, just because some target is given for 3 months, we need not wait for 90 days. Now, even there is possibility of completing in 10 days, in 3 days. So I think why we should not explore that possibility using our potential. That is a great lesson for us. Then profit versus purpose. The moment we are all in government profession, all our extension workers, majority of the people, we work for department. When we go to extension workers, majority of the people says, I'm working as a agriculture officer from 15 years, no promotion. All my students, they became very big professionals. They're earning more salary than me, and they transferred me to this place, that place. So, if you start looking at the profit, what we can expect from the organization where we are working, we lose the flavor of the work what we are doing. It is the purpose, it should be driven by the purpose rather than the profit. So, we can find 10 times more meaning and happiness to the work what we are doing if you focus on purpose rather than profit. This is one of the biggest message to all the extension workers. Because of social media, their aspirations will grow a lot. So sitting at village, looking at his own classmate, his son studying in better colleges, his classmate or someone else earning more money with the same opportunities, educational qualifications, there is a very possibility that our extension worker get frustrated. If you find a purpose, I think he is opening $1 million box which is not available to other people. So this is one of the important statement as an extension worker. I value actually every one of us need, and conversing with ourselves at 5 o'clock for half an hour, very difficult. But if you talk to ourselves, what happens we have seen. No need to, it is self-explanatory. I think we should experiment. We should not close that door. When we talk to farmers, when we are talking about farmers producers organizations, buying wholesale and selling retail, it reverses the kind of vicious cycle which is in present today. I think FPO Academy should, look into this issue to promote more. And everything, see, agriculture, in agri, there is also a culture. So you related FPO into a seed. When you sow the seed, the next day we are not expecting any harvest. We wait for one season. If it is perennial, another 2-3 years. We don't have patience when we plant a FPO. We don't have patience to put water, give good fertilizer, soil, so that the seed grows a plant and gives a good yield. The very next year, we start telling that this scheme is not working. Have you made adequate efforts to make the scheme work by providing soil, water, and day-to-day care? This is very much required for our FPO especially program. We need to have patience, but it should be a professional patience. It is not some miracle to waiting to happen. We have to work for that actually. And the last statement, it is a very wonderful statement. We deal agriculture in segments. Sometimes we say we have technology gap. Sometimes we say we have infrastructure gap, credit gap, market gap, and many gaps are there. I am not listing the list of gaps. We need a Jubin Mehta who brings every actors and create a beautiful music called Profit to Farmers. So today, after listening to Anil Kumarji talk, I found a Jubin Mehta in you. It is also a lesson for every extension worker. Extension worker need to be a converging point rather than handling everything in segments. Our departments are many, but farmers are one. Programs are many, but farmers are one. Let us focus on the actor. Any our thinking and action, farmers should be the central to our thinking and action. Then only, I think this is what the greatest message I carry, and also want to emphasize with every extension worker in this country. Thank you very much, sir, for giving this wonderful time and wonderful knowledge, experience for all of us. Thank you.